This video will teach you how to make 6 bottles of kombucha for the price of 6 tea bags and a cup of sugar. Probably cost you like 300 bucks at Whole Foods. I'll take you through the steps under Pam's strict supervision on how to make the sweet tea, how to add the alien pancake looking SCOBY to that tea to ferment it, how to do the second fermentation in these bottles, adding spices or fruit or whatever you want to add. And at the end of the video, we'll come back, we'll open this up and see how successful we were. I'm going to show you how to make kombucha, but the plot twist is I have no idea how to make kombucha. It's kind of like a ratatouille situation. My wife is off camera holding cue cards and gesturing wildly while I go through the motions. But the first step is really easy. You make some tea. So what we're going to do is we're going to use 4 cups of filtered water, filtered because we're in Jacksonville and our tap water isn't the best, and 6 tea bags. We're going to put all that in the pot and boil it for 10 minutes. Our water's come to a boil, so I'm going to put 6 tea bags in. Now it's important to know that these tea bags, they can be green tea or black tea, but they can't be peach tea or cinnamon spice tea or pumpkin tea. They have to just be a plain old regular tea. So 6 bags, and we let it boil for 10 minutes. I've been told by our technical advisor to turn the heat off. It steeps for 10 minutes. You don't boil it for 10 minutes. The tea has been steeping for 10 minutes, so of course we take the tea bags out and we add 1 cup of sugar. We're using this organic sugar. I don't know if you have to use organic sugar, but that's what we use. Some people say, I don't want that much sugar in my kombucha. And I'll tell you, it's not for you. It's for the SCOBY, and we'll talk about the SCOBY monster later. I don't want to talk about it right now. It's kind of a odd looking thing. Anyway, we're going to take this cup of sugar and dissolve it into the tea, and we're going to let the tea cool down for a while before we pour it into that glass container, so there's no chance of anything breaking and exploding. Here's a little preview of the SCOBY. I pulled it out of the fridge. You keep it in the fridge between making kombucha so it can like rest. As long as it's in the fridge, it's not going to try to grow. Now we can't put it in the tea, of course, because this is way too hot. We have to let the tea solution come down to about 80 degrees before we can incorporate it, but I'm bringing it out of the fridge now. Here's the container we're going to make the kombucha in, and there are some questions about sterilization, and I know people who are on both ends of the spectrum. Some people just say soap and water, you're good to go. Other people want to get some sort of autoclave and sterilize it at 1,000 degrees. What we do is use soap and water, but then we pour boiling water over it to sterilize it, and I'm going to do that right now. You all remember my broken kettle from the previous videos. Along with our glass container, we have our metal spoon we'll be using, and it has to be metal. You don't want anything porous that might be holding bacteria or nefarious things. So like I said, we've already washed and we've already used soap and water on this. You can tell my wife is behind this video because she actually made me get all the dishes out of the sink before we actually filmed. So here we go, the Lynch sterilization process. This has been cooling for a little while. It's still not cool enough to add the SCOBY, but I'm going to transfer everything to the glass container. Our glass container is going to hold a total of 12 cups of liquid. So 4 of them are the tea we made. This is the tea and that cup of sugar. 6 of them are going to be filtered water. So here's 4 cups here, and I'll get another 2 cups. There's 10 cups in the container now. The last 2 come from the SCOBY and the 2 cups of liquid that it's in. So the SCOBY is the thing that makes it all possible. It's yeast and bacteria. It stands for symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. And well, we'll have the big reveal in just a minute. This liquid has to get down to 85 degrees or less. Anything higher than that's going to hurt our SCOBY. Our tea and filtered water has cooled down to 85 degrees, which is pretty much the upper limit of how warm the water can be. So the next step is to put this into the tea. And what's going to happen is the yeast is going to eat all that sugar that we added to the tea, and it's going to generate some sort of acid, which then the bacteria eats and generates a different type of acid, which gives you your probiotics and that tangy taste that comes with kombucha. So let's open this thing up. So one thing to remember is that the solution this SCOBY is floating in is actually the kombucha from the last time. So we're going to have to remember to save 2 cups to put it in when we return it back to the refrigerator. Anyway, here we go. Enjoy your meal. And that's it. That's how you prepare the tea and add the SCOBY to it. The next step is to cover it up because you don't want things falling in, but you cover it with something that can breathe. So we just use a coffee filter. We cover a rubber band around it to hold it into place. And then we stick it in a corner on the counter. In order to ferment for the best efficiency, you want to keep this between 75 and 80 degrees. So this is a blanket that will, you can set the temperature on and keep it at 80 degrees if you'd like to, or actually you can keep it at several different temperatures. It's programmable. However, we found that our house stays between 75 and 80, so we haven't been using this blanket lately, and it's been turning out fine. Now we just wait 3 days. Here are the bottles that we're going to use for our kombucha. They're actually just old commercial kombucha bottles. They seem to work best. And regular viewers, you know my kettle, my broken kettle. We're going to sterilize these bottles with water from this, so let's knock that out. This is our magic sink that never has any dirty dishes in it. I'm going to put the bottles in here. And then I'm simply going to pour all this boiling hot water on top of them and inside of them and swirl them around, swirl the hot water around inside. And that will be the sterilization phase of our bottles. The next step might be the most interesting. That's where we get the SCOBY out of the container and put it into its new home so it can rest in the refrigerator until we're ready to make more kombucha. What's the SCOBY, you might ask? It's this glob of goop. This is a thing that drives the fermentation. Oh, and you can see that it fell apart. So the cool thing is that when you use it, not only does it ferment your tea, but it also makes a second SCOBY. So you can put your first SCOBY there. If you want to share and pass this on, you can just pass this one on to your friend and they can make their kombucha. So we're doing this step before we do anything else because you have to put 2 cups of this unfiltered tea into your SCOBY. So you don't want to, start straining the tea and everything. It's like, oh no, I forgot about the SCOBY. Just do this part first. So I'm going to ladle out 2 cups. I would dump it, but I'm kind of afraid of spilling it. So I'll do it slowly. So here's the SCOBY. Here's the 2 cups of unfiltered tea because the SCOBY has to live in something. If my friend said, hey, I want to make kombucha too, then I would do the exact same thing with that other SCOBY that recovered, the other SCOBY that split off of this one. We would fill that container with another 2 cups and then pass it on and they can make their own kombucha. Anyway, this goes in the fridge until you're ready to use it again. I guess an important thing to note is that this tea, it's fermented for 3 days. This is kombucha. And you can drink it right now if you want to. The step we're doing now is the second fermentation, where we're adding whatever flavors and spices we want to it, to make it our own. I mean, if you want, you could drink right from this. Okay, we'll continue to bottle. The great thing about making your own kombucha is that you can flavor it however you want to. So we've come up with a few different tricks. We have some ginger, and the cool thing is you just use as much ginger as you want. You can put it back in the fridge until next time. We've also found these Chiquita fruit pulp things. We have passion fruit, which is one of our favorites, and there's blackberry. I think you can also get strawberry and banana. I'm not really quite sure. We have this guava. We also got, this looks like Walmart frozen cherries. Or we went to Costco, got some mangoes. Whatever sort of flavors or concoctions you can think of, you can whip it up. So let's whip some up. Here's one really interesting recipe that our neighbor likes. We take whole cloves, we take 4 of them, and then we put 3 cherries into the bottle. And you want to dice up these cherries as much as you can because the more surface area your kombucha has to work with, the more flavor you'll get. So these 2 bottles have the clove and 3 cherries that I chopped up. And this one, my wife slipped in some ginger, some little chunks of ginger. I don't know if you can see it. So now the next step is to get some of the kombucha from that big gallon container, filter it into a measuring cup, and then pour it into here. So I'll show you how we do it. Okay, so this step is fraught with peril. We're going to pour from this gallon into this measuring cup because then the measuring cup will be easier to pour into these bottles. There might be a mess, I don't know. You note that I have the strainer here because we want to filter the tea. Oh, look how good I am at doing this. And once you have it in your portable measuring cup, it gets a lot easier. Now you don't want to fill it up too much because this is going to continue to ferment and it needs some space for all that extra gas that's being generated. Oh man, almost like I planned it. Or do I need to drop more? A technical expert tells me that's good. So I'm going to cap it. And these are going to sit for 2 days on our counter. Now let's do the other 4 or 5 bottles. Okay, so this is the Chiquita passion fruit pulp. And you can see I chopped off a chunk about this big. Here's my hand for scale. And really, 2 things. One, this is enough for 2 bottles. So I'll put this in here. And you can see the pulp's a lot easier to work with than this frozen pulp's a lot easier to work with than those cherries I diced up. And 2, you don't have to dice it up because it's already been pulped. So there's our passion fruit. Are we going to put anything else in that?
Maybe some mango.
Oh, passion fruit and mango. Now we're talking. So we're going to throw some mango in here too. Part of the fun of making your own kombucha is that you can make whatever flavors you like. I like tequila flavored, but Pam says that we're not making that. Let's get some more kombucha. You just have to have a steady hand if you want to be a kombucha maker. All right, this is the guava. This other one will be the blackberry. And just for fun, we're going to put a couple cloves in the blackberry. And if it tastes good, we'll keep that recipe. And if it doesn't taste good, we'll know for next time. I hope you enjoyed the video. Now it's the moment of truth. Whoa! That's some effervescence. I guess the fermentation was successful. Okay, one important thing to remember is that when you pour this kombucha, it's filled with fruit and spices and other things, so you have to filter it out. You only make that mistake once. And if the explosion from opening the bottle wasn't enough proof, look at those fun effervescent bubbles. This is my favorite one, the passion fruit ginger. And it turned out really good. Hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you make some kombucha. Tell me all about it in the comments, and see you next time.